In Pasto, in southern Colombia, the memory of that fateful night is still whispered, when the Christmas silence was broken by footsteps no one could have imagined. December 24th, 1822, was supposed to bring peace, but it brought its opposite. A shadow descended upon the city like an unforgiving omen. And since then, Pasto remembers a Christmas that never returned. The War of Independence had worn the region down for years. Pasto resisted the Patriot forces more than any other city. Marshal Antonio José de Sucre had direct orders from Simon Bolivar to attack the civilian population without any consideration. So he decided to break the resistance once and for all. The inhabitants celebrated their Mass, unaware of the impending tragedy. The storm that was coming didn't come from the sky, but from armed men. The bells rang that night, as they always did on Christmas Eve. But among the street corners, uniformed figures moved like shadows. Soldiers closed off entire streets, murmuring curt orders. The old folks say the air changed, becoming as dense as hot metal. Pasto felt a dark warning that the city failed to interpret. At midnight, the horror began with unexpected violence. Doors shattered with blood-curdling blows. But around street corners, uniformed figures moved like shadows. Neighbors ran aimlessly amidst screams and nearby explosions. Alleyways filled with echoes that seemed to multiply. The holy day burned like a ritual of fire, fear, and destruction. Chronicles assure that no one escaped the brutal onslaught. Houses burned while prayers clashed with the thick smoke. Entire families disappeared in that unrepentant chaos. Accounts say that even the wind wept among the ruins. Pasto was forever marked by that stifled cry. The survivors were gathered at dawn in the main square. The early light revealed bodies, ash, and a burning dust. The silence became more terrible than the gunshots of hours before. They say that even the mountains stood in awe of what had happened. Christmas became a memory no one dares mention. The soldiers claimed to be obeying Sucre's strict orders. The repression aimed to break the royalists once and for all. But many said they saw something strange in their eyes, as if a shadow guided their cruelest acts that night, something that belonged neither to the world of the living nor the sane. Several women swore they saw dark figures gliding through the smoke. They were neither soldiers nor people. They advanced without leaving a trace. Their eyes shone red amidst the ashes still falling from the sky. No one confessed publicly for fear of ridicule. But Pasto holds secrets the rest of the world ignores. The priests later asserted that evil had broken through that night. Human violence had allowed the entry of something ancient. The narrow alleyways of the city center became mouths of darkness, and those who crossed those streets never slept the same again. That story still repeats itself at dusk. The survivors fled to the hills at the freezing dawn. From there, they saw the city as a burning altar in ruins. The smoke formed columns that looked like hands raised to the sky. People wept, but the air muffled their cries. And no one knew how to celebrate a life shattered like that. In the following days, Pasto was a silent, prolonged mourning. The streets filled with stories that grew like shadows. Some spoke of nightly wailing on destroyed rooftops. Others felt footsteps behind them, even when they were completely alone. The tragedy continued to breathe between black, empty walls. Official documents speak of repression and military vengeance. But the people of Pasto remember something deeper and harder to deny. They say that a threshold was opened that night, a threshold that should not be crossed. And that what entered then still haunts the oldest streets, like a dark guardian of a crime beyond absolution. Many residents recounted impossible dreams for weeks. They said they saw faceless figures entering through the burned windows, or heard soft knocks on doors already destroyed by fire. The children would wake up saying they had seen those who returned. No one knew how to explain such a persistent presence. As night fell, The cold descended from the mountains with an eerie force. The dogs didn't bark. They only whined, gazing toward the main square. Every December, the elderly light candles without saying why. It's a silent ritual, an attempt to keep something at bay. Something everyone feels, but few dare to name. Some swore they saw shadows heading toward the cemetery. They said the old crosses trembled in a wind without origin. Hasty burials left graves unmarked for days. And many families never found the bodies of their loved ones. That absence deepened a wound that still hasn't healed. In schools and markets, no one spoke of Black Christmas. It was as if the town feared that remembering it would bring about its repetition. Teachers avoided the topic even in history classes. Children grew up knowing that something terrible had happened, but only in whispers was the whole truth spoken. The ruins of certain houses remained abandoned for decades. Those who entered swore they heard breathing in empty rooms, or felt a presence behind them just before turning their heads. Some ran away, others never spoke of it again. Those walls became symbols of collective fear. Travelers arriving in Pasto said they felt a strange atmosphere. It wasn't direct fear, but a weight that clung to their chests, as if the city held a story it wanted to tell, but also feared that someone might listen too closely. That dense silence has been part of the landscape since 1822. Over time, some descendants collected testimonies. Many agreed on details impossible to have invented. Shadows moving against the light of dawn, whispers behind the ruined walls, and a smell of ash that appeared even on windless days. Years later, certain priests reported unsettling events. Candles that went out on their own during commemorative masses, crosses that fell without explanation on anniversary nights, and confessions from the faithful disturbed by nocturnal visions, all isolated incidents, but too frequent to ignore. Official history never mentioned the supernatural, but the people did, preserving what the pen refused to write. Some spoke of the spirits of those who died without saying goodbye, others of ancient presences drawn by extreme violence. Both versions coexist in the collective memory. It is said that on moonless nights, certain streets turn to ice. The lights tremble as if something were happening right in front of them, and visitors feel the same pressure in their chests as the locals, as if someone invisible were watching their every step. That atmosphere is immediately recognizable. Pasto doesn't forget. The Black Christmas isn't just a historical event. It's a spiritual wound that marked an entire generation. The survivors aged faster, their grandchildren say. Some died talking to themselves, as if answering someone. Others never set foot in a church again. The descendants have learned to live with that shadow. They know that history weighs more heavily in certain parts of the city, and that every December awakens the echoes of the past. That's why they avoid walking alone after dark. Respect for the memory has become part of the local culture. Some say that each anniversary brings a sign, an icy wind that suddenly descends, a bell that rings without human hands, a candle that flickers even without a breeze. Small reminders of a night that never truly ended. Tour guides tell the story with caution. They avoid certain details, as if afraid of awakening something. Visitors listen with a mixture of disbelief and fear, but few forget what they feel walking those streets. The city holds an echo that seeps into your skin. Sometimes, locals say they hear footsteps behind them, even when the streets are empty and silent. It's a faint but insistent sound, as if someone were walking unseen, still searching for something lost in 1822. Others speak of a murmur that appears at dusk. It's not wind or human voices. It's an older sound, a mixture of prayers and cries that no one recognizes, and that seems to travel between walls, like a familiar lament. It's the living memory of that fateful Christmas. Today, those who visit Pasto feel a different kind of silence, one that contains history, tragedy, and shadow. It's not mere stillness, but presence. A reminder that the city saw more than it told, and that even today, it holds what it doesn't want to repeat. The Black Christmas of 1822 forever changed the spirit of Pasto. The whispers of that night still seek brave ears. The ruins, the shadows, and the silence speak of a broken past. And you, who hear this story, have already entered its deepest echo. Welcome to the place where memory still breathes in the darkness. Susurros del Mundo Oscuro. Dark World Whispers.